Hello, legends. So today's Mount Everest training has just been out for a little jog around the block in the pouring rain. I don't think it stopped raining in the southwest for longer than I can ever remember now. Just getting back into things after a wonderful week in Slovakia visiting Max, and of course I'm off on Saturday to the Arctic Circle to take a troop of civilians for a quasi Royal Marines Arctic warfare experience without the obvious shooting people. But no, we'll be doing some skiing survival up there, putting the guys through the ice, this kind of thing. It's not leaving me little time for all my Everest preparations, but we got to live in spirit, folks, and not stress anything, because, as Bob Marley always said, every little thing is going to be all right. And that's the mantra which I found is probably the most helpful to live with. So hope that helps you all. I'm going to get in there now, have a sauna, start ordering some final bits of kit for the climb. And we're good. Massive thank you to everyone who's chipped in a fiver to help me shine a light for struggling veterans, just like I used to struggle, and also to raise awareness of the link between childhood trauma, complex PTSD, and veteran suicide. Much love. All right, legends. So I'm at Heathrow. Massive thank you to my girlfriend and my little hero for bringing me up here. Big special thank you to Ricky the Para and my brother Lee for coming to see me off. It's been very nerve-wracking with so much kit, so much expensive stuff, having to try and cram stuff in, paying another 250 quid for excess baggage, and then trying to get my climbing boots through security, along with my Gore-Tex and some other, expensive stuff. It's been quite a palaver, but we're here now, and got a couple of hours to go until the plane takes off. There's been three changes to Air India already so far. So let's go and climb Mount Everest. Massive thank you, everyone. If you haven't yet donated, if you can support me with a fiver, that'd be awesome. Link below or up in the bio. Let's go to Kathmandu. Much love.
Now, Ross Kemp and Dan Snow are supporting a campaign to raise the final £2.5 million for a Royal Marines exhibition in Portsmouth.
Yeah, the £15 million project will form part of the National Museum of the Royal Navy. One person who is playing his part by climbing Mount Everest is former Royal Marine Chris Thrall. Chris, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Chris.
This sounds amazing.
Morning.
Tell us about what you're actually doing.
Well, every year I like to take on a stunt, you could say. So I've run the length of the United Kingdom. I've run across the Sahara Desert. Last year, with my buddy Louis, who's also a veteran, we rode across the Atlantic Ocean. And this year I'll be summiting Mount Everest. And I'm doing so, Dawn, because we have quite a high rate of suicide in the military community, and particularly the veterans community. Last year, one of the chaps I was supposed to row the Atlantic with, absolutely super guy, ended up taking his own life. Oh. And what I want to do is to start to get people speaking about the link between adverse childhood experiences and complex PTSD. And it's the complex PTSD we're seeing that's leading to losing so many good people.
So So sorry, I was just going to say the money you're raising. Then it's not just about an exhibition. It's actually also practically about getting the kind of help and advice for those former service personnel as well.
Yes, Mark. Most people I speak to about this are totally unaware that our formative experiences in childhood have a significant effect on our mental health as an adult. And if our veterans don't know why they're struggling, how can they ever begin the all-important post-traumatic healing journey that I went on? Because after leaving the Royal Marines, I was homeless and chronically mentally unwell on the streets of Hong Kong. And it's the irony of this is my life is in such a wonderful place now. I get to do anything pretty much that I want to do. I've got a beautiful family. I've got probably the most popular podcast in the UK. And my message to people out there that are struggling is there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And in addition, this is just a test. It's the Almighty looking down at you, seeing that you're going astray in your thinking and your actions. And they set you a challenge, which unfortunately can be things like addiction, that you then have to get over to learn the life skills to pull your life back online. So my message, it's crucially important because it's something I think we all need to start speaking about.
Well, Chris, you are a brilliant example of how, despite how bad and how dark things can be, you can turn your life around. And I think it's so important that we get your story out there. How can people learn more about what you are doing, the projects you're raising money for, and how they can donate?
So I've got a GoFundMe. It is gofundme.com/Challenge Everest. Or you can just go to my YouTube channel, Chris Thrall, or my website, christhrall.com, to get more information. If there's any corporate sponsors out there, please get in touch, because this has cost me an awful lot more money than I ever thought it would, and I've had to borrow that money. Can I just say massive thank you to everyone that's donated so far. We love our veterans in this country, and I think it's been a breath of fresh air to people to learn what actually is complex PTSD.
Yeah.
Because we get this notion it's sort of something about a Rambo movie or something, and it's just something veterans have, and of course it's not. We're all traumatized by life to a certain degree, especially over the last 5 years, and like I say, this manifests in our mental health. So it's gofundme.com/Challenge Everest.
Chris, thank you so much. You've told your story brilliantly, and we will put your details on the website as well so people know. And good luck with Everest.
Yeah, good luck, Chris.
Much.
Thanks so much. And it's absolutely true to say we love our veterans on this channel as well. And it's incredible to be able to do this for the Royal Marines, because really they are the tip of the spear in so many of these campaigns that we've seen over the years, from Iraq to Afghanistan to the Falklands, of course, right there, making that crucial difference. So whatever we can do to, raise their profile and help those who've been through hell in many respects.
Exactly. If only the government would look after them a bit more. Sorry, political point, but I think it needs talking.
No, absolutely.
So good luck, Chris, and the team with that one. And we will put those details on our website for you.
Morning, legends, from Kathmandu. So, Challenge Everest has got off to an amazing start. It's really funny. Well, all my flights were okay, you'll be pleased to hear. The only issue was one of my bags. I spent so long a time sorting out all my luggage. You won't believe it, the amount of extra money I had to pay. The packing took me probably about 4 months just to get everything right. And lo and behold, I got to Kathmandu, and one of my bags didn't turn up. But it did eventually. It was the last one on the conveyor belt. So I was pleased about that. I got met by my Sherpa, Angverba, who is the son of an incredibly famous Sherpa here, Dawa Sherpa, who was the first person I think he was the fastest person to traverse from the Nepalese side of Everest to the Chinese side. Everyone's incredibly friendly, overly hospitable. Nobody comes and asks you for for money, basically, is what I'm trying to say, or at least not yet. The hotel staff were absolutely amazing. Last night, I came back, I went out for a walk, and grabbed a pizza. Then I couldn't find my way back to the hotel, and Beaky, bless him, who's the porter who carried all my luggage in, he found me wandering around the hotel grounds and got me back to my room. So yeah, hang on a sec, it's a bit hectic here. I got up fairly early to go for a run to miss all the traffic, but as you can see, it's already really busy. Look at the dogs. So yeah, I think I'm going to cut this run a bit short, go back for some breakfast. But yeah, absolutely amazing. And the final thing I wanted to say, my fellow climber comes today. So if you didn't know, there's two of us summiting Everest, myself and a chap called Mariusz. I think that's how you pronounce it, from Poland. So we're going to go and pick him up at the airport today. And the final thing I just wanted to say is, like, when you do something like this, friends, or whenever you try and live your dream, you're always going to get so many people try and tear it down. I've had it all so far, that I'm trashing Everest, that I'm dragging a poor Sherpa up there against his wishes, that I'm being disrespectful to the mountain, etc, etc, etc. Funny enough, if you tell people you're going on a holiday to Turkey, no one says a single word. So hang on, just turn around. And what I wanted to say is, I'm having such an amazing time already here. Look at it. I'm doing what I love doing, which is exploring, visiting yet another country that I'd never been to, meeting some amazing people, eating incredible food, and just living my life. And just living my life. And the fact that so many people have tried to talk me out of this I'm not saying it's not a negative, because it doesn't faze me at all. I've been adventuring for well, since I recovered from drug addiction, really. What was that, 97? And hang on. And I've heard this many times before, but to think that there's people out there that really don't want you to live your dreams, you've got to rise above it, friends, and don't let them put their fear or whatever it is into you. Right, that's it. I've said enough. Hope everyone's Hope everyone's absolutely firing back home or wherever you are. And I'll do another. I've got to charge my phone now. And I'll do another video later today. Much love. Oh, and it goes without saying, massive thank yous to all of you who have got me here, because I couldn't have done this on my own. It's turned out to be way more money than I ever expected. So much love to you and thank you. Cheers, cheers.
Hello, legends. So, here in Kathmandu, just about to go and summit Mount Everest to raise awareness of veterans' mental health. And as you can see, I got my beautiful scarf. It was given to me by the expedition company, Himalayan Traverse. And Dawa Sherpa, who's very famous here in Nepal, he's just been here with his son, Angferba, and they've been checking my equipment because before we climb Everest, we're going to go and climb Island Peak just to acclimatise. Island Peak is it's about 6,000 meters. So the guys have just been in and they've gone through all my equipment, and I'm pleased to say I was quite meticulous in my preparation. I just made sure I had everything right, and then also like some contingencies. Even this is the ascender. This is what you slide up the rope when you're climbing, and it stops you sliding backwards basically. But you can see I put a tag on it, like a little leash, because when you've got mittens on, very difficult to manipulate the small button on it. So yeah, here's my kit that I'm taking to Island Peak. The rest of it will go to base camp by helicopter, and I won't see it until I get there. There we go. These are my 6,000 meter boots. My summit boots are over here. And that's what we're taking to Island Peak. So we're going to begin the base camp trek. We're going to detour, climb Island Peak, come back on the route, and then go to Everest Base Camp. And just want to say thank you so much, you absolute legends, everyone that supported me to get here. I can't really stop thinking about you guys, if I was honest. I'm just so humbled and privileged now at this time in my life, having had my dark days, to know so many lovely people and have so many people out there that support me in what I do, and the message that you know, if you don't know you've got childhood trauma, like how can you heal from it? And we lose too many veterans. So yeah, hope it's all starting to make sense. Much love. Team, sending you lots of love from Nepal. As many of you will know, I'm just trekking through the Khumbu region of Nepal on my way to summit Mount Everest. I think it's really important that all of us start talking about childhood trauma, complex PTSD, especially as in the veterans community. We lose a lot of people to suicide. So that's my mission. I'm going to shout it from the highest point on the planet. Just to let you know, everything's going amazingly. We flew today from Kathmandu into Lukla, which is quite a hair-raising flight, but not really if you're going to go and climb Mount Everest. It's been amazing trekking up through the valley today. The scenery is so beautiful. We're only a two-man team, so there's two of us climbers. And we came up today with our two Sherpas, who are massively looking after us. People here very lovely, very friendly, much more of a simple life than back home. No surprise there, huh? And yeah, everything's going well. It rained a lot today, so we managed to miss most of it on the trek. But then my climbing buddy Mariusz and I decided to yomp up to this monastery, which is very high up. And we caught a lot of rain, so we're just drying our stuff out by the fire. Have a look. And yeah, that's about it. I'll put my glasses on or I can't see your comments. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so that's it. It's an awful lot of preparation to get here. It's so much more money than you ever think it's going to be. To which I have to thank a lot of you guys for helping me out. And yeah, not a lot else to say at the moment, to be honest. I think there's quite a few celebrities up here this year. Kristin Harila from Norway, who's been on my podcast. She's a very famous climber. Kenton Cole, who's probably summited Everest the most times for an English guy. I think Anne Middleton's coming here with his family, and he's going to summit again. So yeah, it's all kind of kicking off. So that's it, folks. So if you can help me to start talking about veterans trauma, everyone wants to think that PTSD is like something you get in a war, and that, you know, wars aren't helpful, are they? Especially not with what's going on at the moment. But I can tell you, having been in conflict, like that was what we trained for, and that was the job we did, and we did it to the best of our ability. The problems I experienced were nothing to do with the fact the guy behind me got shot 3 times, or that we got bombed the first time we went out of our new camp gate. I say new camp for those people that know me. I started.
Hello, legends. So I'm in the legendary. Do you see what I did then? Namche Bazaar, right up here in the Khumbu Valley in the Himalayas. Have a look. Can you see we're in the clouds? And yeah, we've come up about another 1,000 meters today. There's been some quite ninja climbing, and it really makes you wonder what with summiting Everest coming up, because there's kind of sort of 75-year-old people up here doing this, and I'd also imagine probably a lot of young people maybe come here with their families. I haven't seen so many, but you really do puff coming up those steep steps in the mountainside. At one point, I tried to go as fast as I can just to see what the effect was, and it was that proverbial breathing through a straw, and I lost sense in my fingers. It was so cold. I've been sweating so much, like not ordinary, like normal level of sweating, and I'm wondering if it's because I got a fever or it's just something to do with the altitude here. But anyway, we've got a lovely little hotel. They're all a bit cold here because they just have one burner going in the main room, so you got to get your sleeping bag, your big minus 45 sleeping bag out, and even then you're cold for the first couple of hours. And that's it. Our Sherpas are absolutely looking after us. I was on BBC Radio today. I was going to try and put it on the telly if the Zoom came out well, but it's obviously Wi-Fi is quite limited here. And just massive thank you to everyone that's helping me shine a light for us struggling veterans and get people to start talking about complex PTSD. Much love. Hello, legends. I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, and after I left the forces, I found myself homeless and chronically mentally unwell on the streets of Hong Kong. If you look behind me in the far distance, you can see the highest point on earth, Mount Everest. And me and my Sherpa, we're going to go to the top, and we're going to do so not only to shine a light for all those veterans out there who might be struggling, but also to say we've got to start talking about complex PTSD, friends. We've got to start talking about the link between challenging, adverse childhood experiences and why so many of us struggle after we leave the framework of the armed forces. I'm completely self-funded. I had to borrow quite a lot of money off someone who always supports my charity work in the veterans community, and I would dearly love to pay them back every penny. If you can spare £5, I'll be extremely grateful. There's a link either in the comments below or in my bio above. And yeah, let's start talking about complex PTSD, friends. Much love. So this is the bags, our bags, that our wonderful porters are carrying. As you can see, the packs are pretty enormous. I'm not even going to try lifting one up because I've had one spine operation already, and yeah, we've got a lot riding on this. And these are our wonderful boys. Hey guys, thank you very much. Hello legends. What a day. Have a look at this view. Literally, I'm in the cradle of Mount Everest. These are my amazing Sherpas. There we go. Yes. Yes, we're very lucky. We've just yomped up from the nearest village. It's kind of crazy. We've only yomped up 500 meters, but you think you were yomping to the moon. It's I thought I'd be better at this, you know. But in my fairness, I've been ill for a couple of days. I got a cold. You know, me and carbohydrate, we don't get on too well. But hey, I'm not going to complain. Yeah, just really fortunate. I don't know if you can hear me with all this wind, but yeah, I used to be homeless in Hong Kong, and now I'm climbing to the roof of the world. Thank you to everyone who's sponsored me. Much love. Hello legends. So I'm in my spacious, I'd say it's a 2-person tent, as in it's got 2 mattresses in. There's only me in it, but really we'd call this like a 6-man tent. Getting ready for our summit bid of Island Peak tomorrow. I've got a vast array of bottles there. That in most important order is the green powder, third from the left, and the cup of English tea on the left. Over there, I've got my summit pack all packed up. They're my lower, excuse me, they're my low altitude mountaineering boots strapped to the side. Got me, I'm going to be, there's my duffel bag, by the way, that's going to stay here. And I think if the Sherpas are okay with it, I'm going to be wearing my climbing equipment. Not my helmet, obviously, but wearing my harness and all my carabiners and my Jumar, etc. So just having a rest. Got food in about an hour. It's going to be dal bhat, the traditional recipe here, which is rice and a little bit of vegetable, and then a kind of lentil soup. No complaints there. And yeah, I'm still trying to get rid of this head cold. I've been caning the green powder.
I've been on minimal rations, really. They're forcing me to eat, but they don't understand that the more I eat, the longer I'm going to be sick for. And I'm pretty sure I can climb a 6,000 meter mountain on a skeleton diet, which I shall prove in the next couple of days. So, much love. Hello, team. I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, and when I left the forces, as many of you will know, I struggled quite a lot. Struggled a lot with my mental health. Ended up addicted and homeless. And fortunately, my story turned good, and here I am now in the Himalayas, just about to summit Mount Everest. Yesterday, we summited a peak called Island Peak. It's about 6,000 meters. It was quite an eye-opener. 100% honest, been struggling a lot with the altitude. Every step you take feels like you're taking 30 and absolutely struggling to breathe. It's, there's a lot more to this climbing business than you'd believe. But my mission is to get people talking about childhood trauma, complex PTSD, especially as we lose so many people to suicide in the veterans community. And it's just like no one talks about this. And it's a bit of a joke because, in reality, many of us had really challenging childhoods, and that catches up with you when you leave the umbrella of the military. And, life can be harsh, but I just want to be here to say to people, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and, you've got to hang in there, and everything will make sense in the end. Have a look around me. You can't really see the beautiful peaks up there because the weather comes in the afternoon. But yesterday, we yomped up the best part of 1,000 meters up steep terrain, carrying heavy packs. We camped at the snow line about 300 meters below the summit of Island Peak. Woke up, I've got a massive head cold. My stomach's doing weird things. You're shivering and then you're really, really hot. And you've got to get out of your tent, get your gear on, get your warm clothes on, get your backpack packed, get crampons on, get your ice axe, get your climbing harness, all your carabiners, your rappelling device, etc., etc. And most importantly, your Jumar, which you shimmy up the rope with. And up we went, and within minutes of leaving our tents, we found people barely conscious lying on the snow, some people throwing up. It's a tough old gig. That's when you got to say to yourself, one step at a time. So we climbed up some quite gargantuan features. That means basically rock going straight up. Was trying to negotiate in crampons was not easy. But finally, we came out and summited with a wonderful Himalayan traverse. It was our expedition company completely looking after us. And it was a beautiful moment to be up there in the heavens, looking all around, knowing the only way is back down to a warm cup of tea out the tent. So thank you to everyone that's helping me to shine a light for our struggling veterans. Chuck us a $5, folks, if you can. I'm completely self-supported. It's phenomenal cost to be here. I know I'm fortunate I'm getting a gig out of it, but if you can help me spread my message, let's stop our veterans ending their lives. It's ridiculous. Let's start talking about complex PTSD and most importantly, childhood trauma. Much love. Hello, legends. Quick update. So I'm in Dingbokche, I think you pronounce it, having summited Island Peak with Mariusk and our Sherpas a couple of days ago. Came down yesterday, actually. We've come down about 1,000 meters. Everyone is coughing. My body, I think I'm just in a bit of a detox, which I see is a good thing. Coughing up really yucky stuff. So I might hang around here
rather than continue to Everest Base Camp tomorrow, because the higher you get, the harder it is to get better. So I just want to do my detox here, get rid of all the coughing, get fit again, stay on the super greens, and then I'll move to Everest Base Camp when I feel, when I feel ready. There's no rush because the ice doctors, the icefall doctors, haven't put the ladders in and the ropes in the Khumbu icefall yet. And of course that means that there's no ropes up the mountain between the camps. So no rush, I'm happy. I'm just going to go for a little wander. If you look behind me, I'm going to go wandering up these mountains. Oh, we got company. Hello, brother. How you doing? You getting there? It's amazing who you meet. Much love and thanks to everyone who's donated to support me. Cheers, cheers.
Hello, legends. How we doing? I hope this finds you absolutely wonderful on this another day in our paradise. I've having come down from summiting Island Peak with Mariusk and our wonderful Sherpas, Sanam and Kaji. I've decided to stay a couple more days in Dingboche, which is a village lower down the mountain or down the valley. And that's because a few reasons. One, that I haven't acclimatized yet. Literally climbing up that mountain, it's embarrassing. Taking like 10 steps forward and then just absolutely dying for air. So I could do with a bit more acclimatization. So I'm here in this wonderful backpackers. Have a look. This chap's really hello. Thank you. As you can see, we're in very good company, and everybody looks after you here extremely well. So what am I saying? Yeah, I want to acclimatise a bit more before going on to Everest Base Camp. Mariuska's already gone on there. He'll be now with the expedition set up, the expedition tents, the kitchen, our bedrooms, etc., etc. And as some of you may have heard, they haven't put the ladders and the ropes in the icefall yet, the Khumbu icefall. This is the team called the Ice Doctors. Apparently there's a problem with a big serac, so a big mountain of ice that could fall down at any time. So let's hope they get on and crack that so we can start climbing. So yeah, I'm going to stay here another day. Been a bit snuffly. Everyone's gets a cough here, so I just want to get rid of it. The hardest thing has been that anyone who knows me knows I always practice, if you're unwell, don't eat because you're going to make yourself more unwell. You just overpower your body when it's at its most vulnerable, especially if you powering down carbohydrates. It just makes you more sick. But trying to explain that to, when you're in an expedition environment, everyone's just so full of like old wives' tales and you've got to eat. So I've managed to be on stealth or minimal rations for all of today, and I'm feeling so much better for it. So there we go. So I'll probably move off to base camp in a couple of days. I've been listening to an audio book in my sleeping bag all day. Ed Viesturs, is that how you pronounce it? Very famous American climber. And the last thing I want to say is just thank you to everybody that's chipped in a $5 to support this mission. There really isn't anyone out there supporting our veterans. I know you it's a bit of a grand statement, but what I mean is everyone's making out that PTSD is just ours. I mean, you get in war, only soldiers get it. And what these charities are doing with all their wounded and hero monikers, is they're preventing all our brothers and sisters out there who haven't been in a war, or maybe like me, were in combat but it didn't affect them. And when their childhood trauma catches up with them after service, they're too ashamed to go to seek help because they're thinking, well, I didn't get injured in combat. I don't deserve this. So it's a really cruel system, folks. On top of that, you've got all the macho-ness of the forces community, that people won't genuinely say, look, I'm struggling. I don't know why I'm struggling. And so if we can't start talking about this, we can't start supporting people, and we just get too many veterans take their own lives. And it's honestly, it's needlessly. It's needlessly, because when you get your head around trauma, you understand it, then you know you heal the past, let it go, be grateful for the present, because it is a present, and you take action. And those simple three things are what ends you up waking up like me every day in paradise, and you can leave all the nonsense behind. But our veterans, they're not getting this support. No one understands this philosophy or this way of thinking. It's also not talked about and brushed under the carpet. So as you see, I have my banner. Let's talk about complex PTSD on top of Island Peak the other day. And I'm not going to stop talking about it, folks, because we don't want to lose any more people like we lost Craig last year. Craig, who was supposed to row the Atlantic with me. It's needless, you know. Veterans are lost. They think they struggle because they're in conflict, and some do. That's quite genuine, but it's compounded by the childhood experience. And you know, I spent 6 years in university to get to understand this stuff, and not everyone has that luxury today. So they haven't got a clue why they're feeling the way they're feeling, why they're self-medicating with alcohol, why they're always like the square peg in the round hole. I know some of you, we can relate to that, can't we? So thanks for helping me continue my message. I'll be holding that banner up on the summit of Mount Everest. Let's start talking about complex PTSD and childhood trauma, and let's stop losing people. Right, that's it. I'm going to go off to bed, listen to another audiobook in my sleeping bag, which is really, really warm. It's minus 45. Much love, friends. If you can spare that £5, there'll be a link in the comments below. Cheers.
Hello, legends. So, bit of an emotional day, all in all. Spent 2 days down there in the valley in Dingboche, down at about 4,000 and something meters. Specifically, stayed 4 nights in the hotel down there to recover with my cough. This one, because I didn't want to go up further up the mountain, where you're just not going to get better up there, right? So spent an extra 2 days after Marius left to go to base camp, and lo and behold, woke up this morning, cough was just nearly, better. Sat down for breakfast, and Dower Sherpa brought me the bill for the hotel. I thought it was going to be about 40 quid. It was $395, so you can imagine I was a bit, bloody hell, get a week in a decent hotel in the UK. This is a hotel without any hot water, electricity, no free Wi-Fi, yada, yada, yada. Not that I care about those things, but it knocked me for 6, especially as you kind people have helped me, raise this money. But anyway, we got over that and we got on the trail, and it was immediately uphill, and my cough just kicked right back in, and it was just, oh my God, what was that $395 for, And then Dower, bless him, he's such a lovely man. He insisted on carrying my backpack, and any of you that know me or know anything about the Marines is that's just not that's not good etiquette, even though it's meant in with the best intentions. So it put me on a bit of a back foot. To the point where we sat down for lunch, and I just felt I needed to say a few things, really have a heart to heart about which way stuff's going, and that, like, I want to say in my summit attempt, I don't just want to be led like a sheep, and have to say, pick my mood up, getting a few things off my chest, saying, look, I don't like it like this. I want a bit of autonomy like this. And then I grabbed my backpack and off I went. And we're up here now at Le Boucher, which is the last stop before Everest Base Camp. So we're at about 4,800 or something. Don't quote me on that. It's high anyway. And went through the memorial garden down there, the memorial rock garden, and have to say, seeing David Sharp's memorial sort of knocked me for six a bit, really. Not about my own summit attempt. I promise you, legends, I'm not going to die on Everest. It's not even a thing, right? But I know so much about this guy from documentaries and stuff, and there's a lot of controversy that as he was dying up there on the north side, I think they say 40 people walked past him, but that's a whole nother thing that people who haven't been here are never ever going to understand, So there we go. Here we are. I'm going to chill out in my room, have a look. And let's get mental. Thanks to everyone who supported me to shine a light for our struggling veterans. You know who you are. There's a link below, folks, if you can spare a £5 towards my astronomical hotel bill. Much love. Hey team, so just at one of the many memorial sites on the way to Everest. We're just coming up for a place called Le Boucher, which I know some of you will know, and have a look at all the memorials for the fallen climbers. If you know, you know. Quite emotional, really. The last thing I'll say is, I promise you, that's not going to be me. Do you get what I'm saying? Much love. Hello, team. This is literally what it's like to be the first person awake on Everest Base Camp. Have a look. Fresh drop of snow in the night. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's start talking about complex PTSD and childhood trauma. Much love.
So I'm just having breakfast. Cheers. And a helicopter's just landed in the garden. Welcome to Lukla, the gateway to Everest.
Hello team, thanks for all the very kind responses to my last video update. I'm here just outside the airport having a cup of tea in one of the many cafes here in Lukla, and you can see my choppers waiting for me on the helipad. And I'm here with the big boss, Dawa, and this is actually our very own helicopter. Don't ask. This is an actual charter flight, so it's just me and Dawa in it. And for all those people that have helped me to afford this and get the message out there that if we want to stop veteran suicide,
we got to start talking about adverse childhood experiences. Massive, massive love to you. I can't thank you enough. We're going to be shouting that from the summit of Everest. I better go and get the bird. Much love.
Hello, legends. I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando who suffered awfully with my mental health, homelessness, addiction when I left the forces. And now I'm on my way to summit Mount Everest to shout from the top that if we want to understand complex PTSD in veterans and this alarming suicide rate we've got, all of us Royal Marines Brotherhood, we lost another brother the other day, father of two girls. It's awful, but we're never going to understand this, and we're never going to prevent it unless we can start talking about childhood trauma and adverse childhood experiences. So that's my mission. As you know, I've got about 200,000 people across YouTube and my social media. I think it's fair to say I'm the only veteran with a public voice that is trying to get people to talk about this. And if I can shout this from the highest point on the planet, then hopefully I'll get more emails from some of you wonderful people out there that say, Chris, I didn't even know I had PTSD until you explained it the way that you explained it. I've always been scared to go to the charity because I wasn't even in a war, and yet I suffer as much as everybody else. So thank you, folks. If you can support my mission, I'm completely self-funded. I'll put a link below in a comment section or in the bio. Update on what's been going on. Quite a lot's been going on. So I trekked to Everest Base Camp. I didn't even really get a chance to look around and say hello to some of the celebrities up there like Amp Middleton and Nims Dye and Kenton Cole and Kristin Harilla, a couple of whom have been on my podcast, because I came down with acute mountain sickness, which was in the form of a cough that was so bad at night I could hear I was the worst person coughing in Everest Base Camp, and God knows if I kept everybody else up. I also had chronic diarrhea, a fever that was just right through my body, so I was sweating all night long in my sleeping bag, and of course I couldn't eat a thing. So when I finally said, look guys, I need to get down, there's no point being at altitude trying to get better. They call it the death zone for a reason, don't they, up there, because your body can't heal. So I got a helicopter Kazovac, which you wonderful people came to my aid and helped me pay for. Thank you so much. I do have insurance, but I need to save that little chestnut for if something really serious happened to me up there on my summit push. But thanks to everybody that chipped in, not least of whom my girlfriend, who gave me an awful lot of money, can we say. And I came down off the mountain. I flew down to Lukla, which is where I am now, but spending 6 days in a damp backpackers was just doing me no good at all. I couldn't even bear to get out from under the duvet. It was so cold, and nothing changed. So the expedition company got me another chopper back down to Kathmandu, where it's lovely and warm. The sun was out. All the waiters in the guest house all remembered me, and they'd just been looking after me. And within 48 hours, the cough had gone. I was starting to eat again. When I got on the chopper, I weighed 60 kilos, folks, with all my equipment on. So, to give you an idea, I was weighing less than 9 stone from 11. Not ideal. So, spent a few days in Kathmandu, had a bit of a horrible message, I'm just going to say it, from somebody, you know, within, let's just say, the expedition business, that said, look, while you're there now, why don't you just give up and go home? And anyone, you know, who knows me knows I've come here to do a job, you know, not only to shout from the rooftop that we need to start talking about complex PTSD, childhood experiences, but also the goal of summiting Mount Everest. And I'm not the sort of person that just goes home, even though most people in my situation would have gone home by now. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I'm coming back up, like it or lump it. So Dower, the head of the expedition company, very kindly organised me a chopper back to Lukla. So I've been down in Kathmandu, I'm now back in Lukla. See the prayer flags outside the window. And yeah, as you can probably tell, those of you that heard my voice and saw the state of me, yeah, I've got my health a lot more back together. I've actually taken some Diamox this time, which I didn't before, which is altitude meds, just because I'm doing something which is a bit unusual, which is flying to Lukla, 2,500 meters, then flying straight back to base camp. So I need everything in my corner to prevent, you know, further sickness, you could say. So I'm here in Lukla. It's been fairly warm, although we couldn't fly today because the weather's clagged in, so the choppers can't go up. So I've had a day knocking around the village, reading my Kindle in a coffee shop down there, while drinking tea and coffee and having a lovely pizza. I managed to put 4 kilos back on, which is good. I took a bimble up to the hospital, which is on top of one of the peaks here. If you can see up there, you can see the mountains going up and up. It's a bit like Rambo First Blood. And I had a lovely walk just to get some air in my lungs. And to give you an idea, last time I had to walk to the hospital, it's between a 5 and an 8 minute trek, right? It took me an hour and a half. That's how unwell I was. I could walk for 3 steps, then I had to stop for 30 seconds. If I tried to walk 10 steps, I just phased into unconsciousness, and I was just like a gibbering wreck, waiting for me to regain consciousness again. That's how ill I was. I could not breathe, and of course I was coughing the whole time. And today I just waltzed up there, so in a bit of a better place, you can say. And that's it. I'm here with a big boss, Dower, who's come down from Everest to meet me. We're going to get a chopper tomorrow, as long as the weather's good. We're going to get back up there. There's not been an awful lot of movement on Everest because it took them a long time to get the ropes and the ladders in the Khumbu icefall because of a serac that was threatening to collapse, which finally did. There's been, I think 2 deaths already. When I was doing that trek to the hospital, not today, the original, the Sherpas come running past me carrying a stretcher, and the lad on it, young Sherpa, I say young Sherpa lad, I believe he was my age. Gonna say young, but bless him, he wasn't long for the game, and I think he died while I was in the hospital. And recently another local Nepalese chap has just died of mountain sickness in the icefall. So serious business, folks, but then it's also serious that we're losing hundreds of veterans a year to suicide, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody in the veterans community is going, do you know what? Do you think smudged like hung himself in the garage, you know, for his kids to come home and find, because maybe he had deep down psychological issues from childhood which were masked while he was in the military, because they do everything for you, and which when he came out the military he really started to struggle to deal with. You know, to you and me, that sounds like a normal conversation that we would have, right? But in the veterans community, nobody has it. They just watch their mates die, don't say anything, and then wait for the next person. So, you know, serious business up here, folks, but it's also serious that our buddies are killing themselves. And it's not just the veterans, folks. How many civilians think, well, I can't have PTSD because I was never in the military? Well, yes, you can. I can tell you, because my complex PTSD, almost literally nothing to do with my military service. It comes from a very, very sort of young age. So there we go. That's it. Mariusz, my Polish climbing buddy, he's still back at base camp. There's, like I say, not a lot of movement. I believe people have started to go up through the camps now on what they call rotation to acclimatise. And yeah, it could be a bit crowded up there this year, because the weather window is getting ever smaller and smaller. So that's me. Thank you so much to everybody that supported me. You know what I'm like. I'm not going home, folks. So telling me to go home is like, fuck you. Literally, fuck you. You know, I don't know who you think you are, or how you think that's helpful, or how much you think adventures like this cost, because they're not cheap, and you wonderful people have helped me to afford it. But to those of you that get it, massive, massive love, you know, to wade through all the stupid, silly messages from armchair idiots. It really made it special. Those of you that took the time to go, Chris, get up there and smash it, mate. So thank you. If you can spare a fiver, folks, I can assure you this is not a fucking holiday. I tell you why, because I don't want to be here, right? Other than getting to that summit, I've seen Nepal. That's enough now. I want to go back to my family. It's nothing special for me because I've travelled the whole world. This is not a holiday, folks, right? It is a very dangerous business. Girl was killed last night, was it on Makalu, I believe it was, died in her boyfriend's arms. It's this ain't a holiday, folks. This is me very kindly using my media platform, albeit limited, to try to draw attention to the fact that the charities are not going to talk about complex PTSD. They want you all to believe it's like a Rambo movie full of heroes and give us all your money. They can't admit that actually a lot of these lads, if not the vast majority, were damaged from childhood. The military, they're never going to admit that, do you know what? We actually recruit kind of damaged people that are out to prove themselves because their daddies never really loved them enough. Do you see what I'm saying, friends? You know, it's not a holiday. I promise you, it's not a holiday. It's all very serious. And I've only asked you to support me with a fiver. And to those that have, and some of you have been incredibly more generous. I've seen friends from the past that I haven't spoke to for 20 years chipping in an awful lot of money. And for that, I love you to bits. I can't wait to catch up with all of you at my, at my summit party when I come home. And like I say, link below. Massive love, folks. Go steady. I'll see you in paradise.
legends. Chris Thrall here, former Royal Marines Commando. As you can see, I'm at Everest Base Camp. Pretty splendid.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. Have a good trip. Thank you, mate. Cheers, buddy. And tomorrow I'm going to be yomping up there. So you can't quite see Everest from here, but Everest is right behind this pinnacle here. As you know, I'm climbing to raise awareness of the link between complex PTSD, which usually starts with childhood trauma, and veteran suicide, because we lose way too many really, really good people in the veterans community, and none of the services, the charities, no one is talking about this critical psychosocial link that we need to understand if we want to help our brothers and sisters start on the healing process. So back to Everest. Today I spent the day with Kaji going through my kit, because tomorrow I'm going to do what will be my second rotation. My first rotation wasn't actually on Everest. It was a mountain called Island Peak, 6,200 meters. Then, as you know, I lost 2 stone in weight with acute mountain sickness, had to be flown back to Kathmandu. I made a miraculous recovery, and takes a lot more than that to put me off my dream, as most of you are aware. So Kaji's been through my kit. And tomorrow over there, you can see we're going to start making our way up through the icefall to Camp 1, out of focus, to Camp 1 over there, and then we're going to make our way to Camp 2 and then Camp 3. There's only Camp 4 after that, which is the gateway to the summit. So this is all about acclimatization. The only slight drawback is we're down a Sherpa. One of our Sherpas had a heart attack and had to go back to Kathmandu. So we've got one Sherpa between myself and my climbing buddy Mariusk. So I think they're looking at how I perform tomorrow and the next few days before putting their hands in their pocket and coming up with a last minute replacement. So there you go. Massive thank you to everyone that supported me to get my message out. If you spare a fiver, folks, if we can even look after our veterans and say, hey, I think the reason why a lot of them kill themselves, it might actually be to do with those very damaged childhoods that they all went through, that none of us talk about. So if you've helped me with a fiver, absolutely massive love to you. If you can help, there'll be a link below or in my bio. That's it. Let's go and start climbing this mountain. Much love. But I think that's the first thing you should do. Have a look where you don't want to fall. Right. Chris from Stunt Double. Yeah, firing.
Yes. Yeah, come.
One more. In there.
Yeah, come please.
Thank you, Kaji.
Yeah, okay.
Hello team, so we're off shortly to begin our 5-day summit of Mount Everest. That's how long it takes once you're acclimatized. So we'll be heading up through the freezing, bitterly cold Khumbu icefall yet again shortly. I just thought I'd run you through my accommodation really quickly, keep this video short. Here's my down jacket that I'll be taking tonight. My down suit is already up there at Camp 2. Here is my climbing helmet. Here's my harness, carabiners and Jumar. Here's some food and snacks for the staying in the camps overnight. Flask, really important. Couple of bottles for summit day, insulated. Here's my bag, which is already weighing more than I like. And I haven't yet put the food, my crampons,
drinks, etc. in there, and that's where I sleep. That's a really nice minus 45-degree sleeping bag. So that's it. Let's go and summit Mount Everest. Massive thank you to everybody that's helped me shed light on complex PTSD and why we lose so many veterans to suicide. You massive legends. If you can spare a fiver, folks, I'm completely self-supported in this. Last night, I'm not going to go into it now, but it cost me another $4,000. Yeah, I think you get what I'm getting at. So if you can spare a fiver, there's a link in the comments below. Massive love.
Hello friends, I hope this finds you well. As you know, I put my Challenge Everest project together to summit Mount Everest and use my platform across all the social media, YouTube, etc. to really try to get veterans talking about complex PTSD. In particular, why we lose so many veterans to suicide, and yet nobody talks about something called adverse childhood experiences, which many of us went through, and which saw me end up chronically mentally unwell and homeless on the streets of Hong Kong. So with that in mind, thank you ever so much to everyone that supported the mission, all the kind messages to say, Chris, like, I get it now. I always wondered, you know, why I suffered with my mental health. I, quote unquote, successfully summited Mount Everest. I believe it was May the 29th, around about 5 p.m. Tragically, on the way back down, we lost one of our Sherpas. I descended from the summit with another Sherpa. We came across my fellow client, very nice Polish chap, and he was battling with frostbite. Had fairly, what was becoming severe frostbite in his fingers. He was also extremely cold. And we gathered over the radio, my Sherpa and I, that they were turning back. So we kind of watched them disappear. The next morning, that client left with the Sherpa I'd summited with. I'm avoiding names here, obviously. And I was left alone with Hillary Sherpa, or Hillary Dower Sherpa, as he's better known. In the death zone up there at Camp 4. We got our stuff together and we started to descend to what was supposed to be Camp 2. At round about above the yellow belt, please don't quote me on any of this, it's my memory is, my knowledge of Everest isn't probably what everybody else has, but I remember he sat down, as he had done many times before when we'd been partnered up together. We kind of, you know, our Sherpas were interchangeable, you could say. And he sat down for a rest with his backpack. These guys carry huge loads. And I turned and I said, Hillary, are you okay, brother? He said, yes, fine, Chris. Please, go. And this was nothing new. You know, I'd go ahead, he'd go ahead. This was, you know, part of the course for my experience. The issue is when I descended, I think it was the yellow band, one of the abseils, I found my Polish buddy at the bottom. I thought he'd fallen off the abseil and was either hurt or dead. But as I descended, he said, yes, Chris, I'm okay, but I've got no oxygen. And there I was, you know, just below the death zone. I've got my Sherpa, Hillary Dower, sat down for a rest, nothing unusual. And he's got the radio with him and the satellite phone. I don't know if the battery for his radio was still working. It had been a long summit push. What should have been 5 days to the summit and back took us 11 days, folks. That's how challenging the conditions were. So do I go back for the Sherpa, who's probably going to rock up and be fine, as he has done hundreds of times before, or do I help my fellow climber who's got no oxygen, frostbite in his fingers,
and obviously you're never far off hypothermia up there. The weather was so changeable, so bitter. 1 minute it's a whiteout, the next minute it's a whiteout and it's snowing. The ropes and stuff were getting covered over, and I realised we had a really serious situation. And as I helped him down the mountain, stopping to take all my oxygen mask off, as any of you have climbed, you know, is several layers of headgear you've got to take off, get the mask, and I would lend it to him to perk him up a bit, and then we'd continue again. It took us, I think, 11 hours to get into Camp 3, what should have been a 2-hour trek, 2-hour climb. Managed to find an abandoned tent at Camp 3 that had a cooker in it, so I gathered up some snow, I made drinks for us, I made food for us, and I let the Polish lad sleep for a couple of hours. All the time I had my head torch on, most of the time we had the cooker on, and in none of that time at all, when I looked back up the mountain, did I see Hillary descend. Another thing still, I noticed his head torch wasn't on. So, to say serious alarm bells were ringing, as in, I think the worst has happened, would be an understatement. He'd had now 11 hours to get down, just the same as us, and these guys don't muck around. As anyone that knows the Sherpas, you know, they almost run up and down these mountains with these huge packs. So at that point, we got up and made our way down to Camp 2. That journey, all in all, took 19 hours. Bitterly cold. My friend, you know, fighting the frostbite. Both unsteady on our feet, trying to hold on the rope and not fall off and slide down to the next anchor point. I have to say, the Polish guy was absolutely exceptional. He didn't panic. He understood the situation. We just took it slow, and finally crawled into Camp 2 the next morning. Then ensued, as you can probably imagine, loads of talk on the radio with base camp, what to do. Someone had suggested that Hillary had slept at Camp 3. And I said, well, come on, guys, we were at Camp 3 for 2 hours. I had my head torch on the whole time. Surely he would have come to our tent and said, you know, hi, guys, how we doing? Let's go again. That didn't happen. It means he's been up there pretty much in the death zone for 19 hours now. And at that point, a decision was made that we needed to descend through the icefall. All talk of like going back up for a rescue. It's really different on Everest, folks. I had one tank of oxygen that was half, you know, it's half empty now. To try to get back up, which would mean leaving the Polish guy with no oxygen, struggling in the death zone, that would have taken pretty much all of my oxygen. And then, like, what am I going to do, you know, when I get there? I'm not trying to like offload my responsibility. I'm just telling you, you've got to be real. I made a promise to my boy, he's 11 years old, that his daddy is coming back from Everest. That was my number one concern. I supported the other client as much as I could, but I was well aware there might be a point where we have to leave each other. Fortunately, didn't come to it. The icefall completely snowed over. The ropes were a foot under the snow. The crevasses, some of which we just, you know, had to make a best guess which direction we were going in. We probably crossed hundreds of crevasses without even knowing it, as everyone that's been up there knows. It was brutal beyond belief. And it took us, it took us from 10 o'clock in the morning until I think 5:30 the next morning before we managed to arrive at base camp. Obviously, it was the expedition company were trying to congratulate me on my summit. Obviously, I didn't even want to speak about it, folks. It was not, you know, done, dusted. My mind is just on Hillary, and when I learned that he had a family and a daughter, you know, what can you say? With respect to things like helicopter rescue and like, I won't even go into it now. The weather windows up there weren't particularly favourable until the next day, at which point a chopper came in to Kazivac, the Polish climber. I was able to jump on board for the snip price of $900, and I just be honest, I wasn't up for doing the trek and the tea house thing. It was, you know, my time on Everest is done. We then got a further chopper into Kathmandu. I'm back here at the wonderful guest house I've been staying in. I've spent all day now, it's like mid-afternoon, trying to think, like, what can you say? You're never going to appease everybody. It's a dangerous mountain, folks. That's why people challenge themselves to go up there. It's absolutely tragic that such a lovely, beautiful human being is no longer with us, bar some kind of miracle. And obviously all my love goes out to his family, who I'll be meeting tomorrow to discuss things like welfare. On a plus side, you know, if there is a plus side, Challenge Everest was successful. I summited, as some of you know. I was really unwell in the beginning, had to fly back to Kathmandu, lost a couple of stone in weight. But, you know, if a former Royal Marine says he's going to climb Mount Everest, he's going to climb Mount Everest, as the wonderful Ant Middleton has shown, is it 2 or 3 times now? Congratulations to his son, Gabriel, for being the youngest person to summit. From that perspective, you know, I said I was going to do it, folks, didn't I? I wasn't going to try and summit. I was going to summit, and we did so quite successfully, quite you know, in good circumstances. There's a lot of crazy stuff up there, as some of you will know. I said a couple of prayers on the way up, and yeah, that's it, folks. You know, tragic, absolutely unfortunate, but it's the high mountains. That's it. It's the high mountains. Last thing I just want to say is just another thank you to everybody that supported me and my message. There's not many people in the veterans community, certainly not in the sort of, you know, mediocre celebrity category, whatever you call us YouTubers. Nobody's talking about, you know, adverse childhood experiences, and until we start talking about this, I think we're going to lose more and more good men and women to suicide. So thank you to everyone that supported me. And now I will be supporting Hilary Dower Sherpa's family. On that note, folks, there's a link below for my GoFundMe. I'm completely self-funded, as you know. I only had, I think, 2, if not 3, minimal sponsors. The rest I've had to borrow, and you great people have chipped in. So if you can spare a £5, folks, I think now's the time to do it. I don't expect any more. But let's start helping our veterans on the healing journey, rather than just not talking about it. Much love.
He walked through fire, he walked through pain, through shattered dreams and endless rain. A royal marine who'd seen it all, but refused to let the darkness call. On cold nights and demons deep, the battles fought when none could see. From rock bottom to the mountain sky, he chose to live, he chose to fly. When lesser men would fade away, he found the strength to face the day. One step across the oceans, row by row, across the deserts, burning gold. John O'Groats down to Land's End. The road was long but would not bend. Near 60 years upon this earth, still proving what a life is worth. A positive mental attitude can carry giants through the storm. The mountain tested every bed, the freezing winds, the shadow of death. Yet onward still he found a way. One more step into the day. Chris, mate, you did it. You stood up on the top of the world. From the streets to Everest, you raised your flag, your spirit unfurled. Chris, mate, you did it. A legend written into the snow. From the depths of despair to the highest place a man can go. And in the dead zone, cold and high, a Sherpa brother lost his life. Hillary Dava, rest in peace. May your spirit forever rise. Then on the mountain's brutal face, a climber fighting for his place. No oxygen, no hope in sight. Chris answered with his final fight. Not for glory, not for fame, not for headlines or a name, but because that's what heroes do when another soul depends on you. Chris, mate, you did it. The final summer tear of the year. Standing higher than any man, with courage stronger than fear. Chris, mate, you did it. The whole world hears your story now. A comeback for the ages, and we're standing proud. For every veteran fighting pain, for every soul caught in the rain, for every heart that's close to breaking, your climb has shown there's hope worth taking. From rock bottom